I am here with Dr. Riyaz Hassanali, who you are just such a light. I remember the first time we talked and you shared with me about some of the volunteer work that you do and that you make these amazing paintings with a syringe. Tell me
Yes.
about this.
This,
How did this all start?
so this all started about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I was I woke up and I had this idea of painting. I just wanted to start painting again, and so I went to the art supply store, bought paints and canvas, came home, set everything up, and then realized, oh my God, I don't have any paintbrush. So I said, well, what do I have available to me? And I had found some syringes and some chopsticks. And I said, all right, let's see what I can do with this.
Right.
And that began, you know, a passion that I had became a trademark of my own of using needles and syringes and chopsticks for texturing. And I've developed my own style of painting.
Right.
I use a lot of colors, and my themes are whatever I get inspired by.
Right.
Usually it comes in the middle of the night.
Wow. That's amazing. And you're a doctor by
Yes,
trade.
yes, I am. So I do cosmetic surgery, and so there's a creative side to my profession, and painting. While I never took any formal lessons, but my patients love it,
Yeah.
and that's all that matters. At the end of the day,
That's all
my
that
patients
matters,
love it,
yes.
and it's a conversation piece, and it's just a fun hobby that I've taken on.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you ever sell your paintings, or how does that work?
Anybody wants my painting, they can have it on condition that they have to donate money to their favorite charity.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And so, like last year, for example, I was going to Zanzibar, which is a small island on the east coast of Africa, to vaccinate the local population. They had no vaccines available to them. And so a lot of people wanted to support this project. And a few of my patients, took one of my paintings and re-gifted me back with some donations that helped subsidize this project that we were working on. And we ended up doing about 25,000 vaccines.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love that about your spirit, that you have this passion, this creative side, but that you use it to give back to make the world a better place. Because that's the whole premise of our show and what we do, is focusing.
Well, I made a commitment to my dad. In order to be impactful, we were going to do something that was absolutely, needed, like basic things, like water.
Right.
So we started building wells, and then that blossomed into building a school, and then eventually, we ended up doing vaccination and many other projects along the way.
Right.
Zanzibar is still a favorite place of mine, partly because I was born there, but partly because it's paradise. It's one of the most gorgeous islands you'll ever visit. But it's also one of the poorest islands in the world. I noticed that there was a technology gap. And so we've decided that we want to take students, young students, and start educating them on laptops and bringing devices to them.
Right.
Because let's face it, in a developed country, they no longer use a pen and pencil on a paper.
Right.
So those kids are at a huge disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the fact that once you give them a piece of technology, the world becomes their oyster. They can now see what's available to them around the world. The world certainly shrinks for them.
Right.
And so they learn language, they learn cultures, they learn, depending on their interest, different cuisines. And so we are encouraging that kind of medium for education. And I learned that from my late father, that the joy of giving was much greater than receiving.
I love that you use what you have to give back to the world. It's so important. And what would you tell somebody that's out there that, I always ask this question to everyone, that's passionate about something, that wants to do something, that they know it's some place inside of themselves that that's a calling for them. And they're afraid. They're afraid to take that step. They're afraid to step out and launch into it. What if they fail? What if it's too big, or I can't make a difference? What would you tell that person?
You know, a smile is charity. So, I mean, you don't have to do something magnanimous. You know, a simple task of helping an elderly person and visiting somebody in their home and just keeping them entertained for an hour or two is charity. You're giving back to a person who's lonely, who is in need of company, and so, you know, decide what you think you would like to do, and then don't let anybody discourage you. You just go forward, and especially young people. I find that young people have been, especially during this pandemic, that they have been kind of lost. And so when you start giving back to somebody, suddenly your problem becomes less.
Right. I always tell that to anybody when they say they're depressed. I'm like, go help somebody else. That is the best remedy for depression.
Right.
It takes you out of your own process, your own thought process that you've
Right.
fallen into, and it puts you into a place of serving another, and there's nothing more therapeutic. And now these are your COVID paintings.
Yes. Well, I wanted to do something with COVID related, because
Right.
we were inundated with COVID.
Right.
So I wanted to make something fun out of it. And so this was a painting that I did for my son, for his office. And he moved to London, so he didn't take it with him, but it's here for him.
It's beautiful.
And it's a play on different colors, and it's supposed to be a mask. And I used my own technique of needles, syringes, and chopsticks.
Oh my gosh, I can't thank you enough.
It's been my pleasure, and I've enjoyed, my paintings. Enjoyed certainly meeting you, and hopefully we can inspire others to not only paint but also give back to society.
I love that. It's a deal.
Done.
Done. Thank you so much for watching Passionate Living. If what you watched moved you or inspired you, the best way you can show us is by liking and commenting on the video, as well as subscribing to the channel